I knew Rugan since the 80s when we were young.
Hey, some things can't, all things
What's this
can't
old
work
hate
out.
I appreciate the condolences.
Yeah, I'm going to read something. Rogan gave me this book, and again, that's, I think she probably just saw it on the ground or something.
Lies.
But anyway, let me tell you, we haven't referred to anything out of this book for a while, but I think it is important that I read this. And I want to read this. It is from Brendan Burchard, and it is from the chapter 8, and it is entitled "We Shall Inspire Greatness." And I'm going to read 3 passages from it. Okay,
yeah, it's the Motivation Manifesto.
Right, Motivation Manifesto. The first one is, I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I know: the only ones among you who will be really happy are those who will have sought and found how to serve. And then he goes on to say, we must demand these things of ourselves. Let us be so bold as to lead in new ways, standing apart from those who have been failing to raise our businesses, communities, and nations to higher levels of excellence and greatness. No matter the position we hold, at work, at school, or in our community, we shall show the world an alternative example by always caring enough to be remarkable and unifying. And I will say this very publicly, that Ranard, I think this you embody this.
That's a great start.
I'm delighted to have you, because maybe if you're lucky in life, you get to meet people who maybe can be transformative. So tell us, Ranard Henfield, after I've given you this glowing intro in your turquoise shirt.
Because we died. Because we died.
Tell us about how Carmichael got started.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you the why.
Yeah.
Our Carmichael has over 60,000 persons in that community. And from living there in 2009 to the present, one of the things I noticed is that having an opportunity to interact with the persons in that community, that everyone in that community wants to do better in life. They want to be safe. They want to live in a cleaner environment. They want to be able to send their kids off to school. They want to have their own businesses, and they want to be employed. They want to have savings, and they're tired of living paycheck to paycheck. They want communities like you'd see in the Western District and the Eastern District. And we, as a team, figured out that if we socialize, educate, empower, and inspire those 60,000 plus persons in the community, that we would help them achieve those why issues. So what we are is our Carmichael Community Development Initiative. And what we're doing is trying to answer that question that has been in the minds of the 60,000 persons in the community. Why can't I have a better way of life?
And by the way, our Carmichael, because at first, and I asked Ranard this from the very beginning, I got the impression initially it was a constituency, but it's not that, it's a region. That's correct?
Correct. Yeah. And a lot of persons, when we first started out in September going into October of last year, would ask, when I was given the flyers, is this political? Is this political?
Yeah,
they always ask that.
Yeah,
that was always the first
too.
question, because we stood in the traffic on Carmichael on the highway, giving out these little flyers, letting persons know to come over for this first event called Bingo and Breakfast in October. A lot of persons read the flyer, it was so informative, and the first question they would ask after reading is it political? And I had to explain, this is not political. This is
ain't trying to form no party.
No, this isn't even a constituency thing. This is a Carmichael Road stretch thing. As long as you live along Carmichael, this is not the PLP, F&M, or DNA Carmichael. It's not the Jehovah's Witness Carmichael or the Baptist Carmichael. It's not the rich Carmichael. This is our Carmichael. And we're a mixture of people in that community. And what we're trying to do is rebuild the community. Politics has divided into 4 constituencies. But we were always Carmichael. we're a community, and I'm trying to rebuild that community in hopes that rebuilding this community of Carmichael will then inspire other persons to rebuild their communities, and as a collective, we then rebuild this country.
How did you canvass the views and thoughts of these residents? I mean, was it a lot of polling or just going door to door and
It was
just talking to them?
It was a lot of polling, but one of the things Ed and I spoke about is that I know my neighbors. It's not a situation where I live through a street and I don't know who lives through the street. We know each other. So in interacting with your neighbors and doing the polls online and via WhatsApp, etc., I've gotten the concerns of the community. And one of the things that stands out is that this isn't a community of 60,000 people that want handouts.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they've gotten handouts over the last 43 plus years with politicians, but these are people who want to hand up. They want to be able to be given the opportunity to do better for themselves. They want to be able to open a business, have a second source of income to send their kids off to college, to further education. These parents want to further their own education. The seniors want to tell their story of what they've learned from the 40s, 50s to the present. And the young children want a future. So one of the things one of our teams did, which was Queen B, headed by Yasmin and someone like Estina, they sat down with their first initiative, and that was to do something called a vision board party. To gather the young girls in the community and say to them, listen,
what do you want,
what do you want to be in life? And everybody was blank. And they said, well, at the end of this session, you're going to know what your vision is. Because if those children in that community have a vision of what they want to be and they have the assistance of the community, then you're going to make a huge difference in their lives. And at the same time, there's senior citizens in the community who are being left alone at home, and dementia sets in, etc. They need to get out and be more active. They need to deal with this. But to go through a community and find one place, that's in itself shows that you're bringing back that community pride.
You see, I know I've been involved with some other organizations where building of parks, et cetera, to bring people together. But I was just saying this to another person the other day. No matter where you live in the world, you have the trials and tribulations of having to go to work, of having to take your kids to school, the daily grind. But there are many places where you have that, but there's a quality of life associated by your environment.
Agreed.
The fact that and we don't have all of this yet, that you might have a walking trail, or that you might have a park to go to, or, that type of thing, right? Where there's some solace, some respite, if you will, from the daily grind that you can go to and, as opposed to coming home to a pile of garbage, So if you're doing that, you're already,
you know better, you do better. So if you want them to do better, I think we need to teach them how to do better.
And do you do that?
Effect. We're doing that with our events. We're doing it. And while an event may be, end of October, end of November, 3 or 4 things in December, we don't wait until the event to teach that. So we have the WhatsApp groups for the residents, and then we have the Facebook page that instantly we can share stuff instantly throughout that community via Facebook and WhatsApp, saying, listen, this is something we learned. I mean, down to cancer. We find posts or videos on cancer, eating healthy, crime, etc. We share it amongst ourselves in the community. So it's educating them to know, so they know better.
When it comes to like derelict vehicles or the front of your home or the back of your home not being cleaned, I'm a big fan of personal responsibility. I just find it so difficult to believe that people need to be taught certain things. Like you can't see in the front of your house it's a mess, or you don't see the vectors in the area, all these issues.
Rogan, if your grandmother,
I have to show you that.
If your grandmother threw trash outside the door, your mother threw trash outside the door, and you're now 20 years old. That's all you've ever been taught, to throw trash outside the door.
But you don't live in a bubble where that is the only thing that you see. You drive down the road and you see somebody's house where there isn't trash thrown outside the door. So you're exposed to that as well.
You're exposed to that, but the environment you have lived in all your life, has no relevance because the environment you've lived in all your life didn't teach you better. So now we're trying as a community to teach them better, to say, listen, I know your father may have beat your mom. You don't beat a woman in this community, in this country, in this lifetime anymore. We have to teach them better. I mean, we can't take for granted. And I think I took for granted prior to launching this initiative that, hey, my place is clean. And I'm not playing profane music outside the place. Everybody else should know that. And then I had to go over and tell a neighbor, hey, excuse me, could you turn that down? My wife inside the house, I have a 2-year-old or 3-year-old child now, turn that down. And once I explained it, like one of the workshops we had Dr. Novi Carter come by. And one of the workshops she did at a dinner and movie event, when everybody came to watch movies, her presentation was how to keep your children safe. And you wouldn't believe this, but there are homes in this country where porno magazines and DVDs
Sitting on
are just sitting out and open for the kids. And parents are leaving kids home, and the neighbors are coming over, and they're watching these things and seeing these things. And we had to bring in Dr. Novi Carter to teach our community and videotape that and broadcast to the group saying, these things are unacceptable in our community from now on. You're exposing this child, and in my view, it's child abuse.
Yes, I agree with that.
100%. What you said about education is important. We were talking just earlier off the air about how, people grow up in an environment where they have multi-generations in their home. And earlier we had this discussion with I forget the young man's name from the Family Planning Association.
Oh yeah.
You can't segment them and say, okay, you people go and you run into the FNM constituency office and it's very difficult. But how do you find a way to somehow turn this into socio-political power?
Well, one of the things we've been pushing from the beginning of this initiative is that with a community of 60,000 people, I don't think any political party or politician should be dictating anything to us as a community. And we should wield our influence as a community over those 4 MPs in the area and say, listen, this is what we as a community want, not the PLPs, the FNMs, or the DNA, because when a government is in power, that government is in power for 60,000 of us on Carmichael. Yeah. So we are now going to wield our influence as a community of 60,000 residents, not 5,000 PLPs and 5,000 FNMs and the other 50 who could care less to vote. But the 60,000 of us want a safer community, a cleaner community. We want to address various issues in this community, and this is how we want to address it, not just come and tell us what your party manifesto is anymore.
Sometimes without even talking to the residents and finding out what they want. Yeah.
Right, but like we've said, is that a party manifesto is a national issue. We're a community. We want to address the concerns of this community.
See, because that's the answer. The answer is there's commonality. Right. You see, the answer is when you get outside the me, the meanness, like my contract or my job or my stuff, then it's about what is our need, right? So in your community, there's got to be a whole list of common needs, whether it's garbage collection, safe, all that stuff. Now, how do you then, you have, we got a break.
Know, what do you do? First of all, where do you get your funding from for this initiative? And
when we started out in October of last year with the bingo and breakfast, the dinner and a movie, a lot of the funding was 70% me for the first 2 months. 70% me for the first 2 months. But by the third month, I was always trying to push this from the beginning that I'm not looking for followers. I was trying to inspire leaders. And
that's what it's all about.
By that, create other community activists that can share in the time of planning these things, the cost of doing these things. And by the third month, we had buy-in from so many residents, business places, persons who don't even live in Carmichael, just love what was happening in those first 2 months, who are just contributing to whatever the cost is of each initiative. So when we have initiatives, what we'll do is just put out in the community, we want to do X, Y, Z in 4 weeks, and it's going to cost us $4,000 for this tent company to provide whatever, the food, the chafing dish, etc. And persons would just pool together and say, okay, well, I'll put $400 towards that, I'll put $5 towards it. Someone will say, well, I have chafing dishes at home, so you don't need the 10, I will bring the 5 that I have. Then we had companies, like I said, come on board and say, well, listen, you guys rented the tents from us for the first 2 months, we're going to give it to you half off. You had places like Bahamas Waste come on board and say, listen, whenever you're doing these things, we will provide the garbage bins and the outdoor potties, etc. So we've gotten to the point now that we have a lot of organizations that are now saying, listen, we'd like to come and fund this initiative.
Because they like what you're doing.
Right, but we've had to be cautious with that because, we've had persons on initiatives or organizations that come and say, listen, we'd like to fund this initiative, but we want you to run. And I've had to say no. Or we want to fund this initiative, but we want your initiative to back our political party and say our party's behind it.
Let me show you something. Let me give you some math. I like maths. maths. Okay, you got 60,000 residents in Carmichael. Okay, divide that by 4. That's 15,000. Figure our average for a household, just being loose. Okay, if you collected, and I know it sounds high, but if you collected $100 a month, so it sounds a lot of money because a lot of people are struggling. But if you collected $100 a month from 15,000 residents monthly, that's $18 million a year.
Wow.
Now, again, it's always about the rate of return. Okay, so a lot of people will say, "Well, what is in it for me?" But you know what's in it for you? When their child can go to that fine arts camp, free. When that child or the parents or the adults can go to a park, free. When you can have events that people can go to in that community, free. Okay? When you can put down walking paths along streets so people can utilize that. That's what you say to people. You don't need to go spend no money on no gym. We can put in the various parks, we can put in exercise equipment, and you can access that free. And if Carmichael has 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I know that I can tell you the parks on this island. The Carmichael constituency alone, there's probably at least 10. All of the from Adelaide and Sunshine and this one and the Cool Lake. I know they're all over the place. Okay, it's Flamingo Gardens all over the place. If you can put those in, those people now have access to those. So the money that you would have spent on these things, you're not spending on those things, and you would have spent more than that $100 a month. So you are investing in your well-being. Now you have the power, my friend. And even if you don't get it from all, you're going to get something.
Right.
And as people see something happening, they start to fold in. Okay? And the only thing that has to happen is accountability, which we're missing at the macro level here.
Exactly.
So it's that easy.
Agreed.
I mean, it sounds, but it's not, So I'm encouraging you to take this, and you and I had this talk, right, about not crossing that line to where you get swallowed up in the system,
Right.
as opposed to you kind of operate outside the system, but parallel
Right.
to the system. There is what is it in your community? You talk about garbage collection. I can tell you, I know people out in the Carmichael constituency who say the garbage trucks never come, or they don't come often enough. I don't know about that now. I mean, that may have changed, right? But that was a complaint at one point.
Interestingly enough, though, the garbage truck normally comes by on Monday,
Mm-hmm.
and Tuesdays when I saw that residents with the garbage thrown in front of it,
Mhm.
that post went up Tuesday, and yesterday morning the garbage truck showed up at the Blue and was there
Right.
to clean that up.
And
Whole
see,
strip.
you see,
Haven't just been there on Monday; it was
Yeah.
back there Wednesday.
but you see, you talk about empowerment. You might have in your community a garbage
Somebody who-
collection
yeah.
company.
Right.
So you contract them out,
Right.
and they're now liable to you. You don't need to rely on the central government to do this stuff. We have to get them out of our lives,
Well, that's what
and
we're
get them
about.
out of our lives without being political.
Right. One of the things in shows and interviews, and persons ask, so who's the president? Who's the leader? And everybody would say, there is no president. There's no official leader. Every one of these persons is a leader.
That's foreign
Yeah.
to a lot of people.
Because one of the things for me from day one when I started this was that if the initiative is based around a personality of Ranard Eric Henfield, what happens when Ranard moves on? What happens
Falls
when
apart.
it falls
Or
apart?
doesn't want to move on.
Right.
That's even
Exactly.
worse.
Yeah.
So it has to be about everybody buying into we can do better, we deserve better, but you are the framer of your life. You have to get involved and make a difference for yourself. You have to come to this table, this decision table, and do something. You just can't sit on the playground, on the bench, or sit down on a couch and watch your life and the democracy of this country and the running of this country from the sidelines anymore. We have to come forward and say, listen, I have something to contribute to this table. I have something to say, and I have this to offer.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to inspire the persons in this initiative and this community to do more than just attend events. So I've been fortunate now to have, tens of people who attended events who are now chairing teams and coming up with new ideas and new initiatives expanded. I've now been
And the
blessed.
chairs must change, right?
The chairs must change every 3 months. So
Really?
nobody can sit in any position and think,
Really?
I am the almighty chair of
Yeah.
XYZ team.
I
You have
like
3
that.
months to do something, and then when your chairmanship is done, you now become an assistant to the new chair.
I like this concept of
You're
wonderful
like
framework.
Rotary.
So you become an assistant. So you share your
Actually,
experience with
Rotary
this new
runs
person.
That's how Rotary. By the way, that's how Rotary in a way and these
I like
other
this
service
one.
organizations run. You become president. You become president-elect is waiting in the wings. Then you become an immediate past president. So there's continuity always in terms of the leadership and the running of these things. So, but we got a little, I got the thing in my ear. So we're going to come back and we'll wind up with Ranard.
my dad.
Eric. My name is Edward Anthony Fields. And Rogan's, what's your middle name again now?
Mystique.
Is it Mystique?
Yeah, Mystique.
Okay. Well, I just have to pause on that. Rogan Mystique Smith. Yeah. Are you with the Avengers?
I think X-Men. I think that's what it
The
is.
X-Men, yeah. Are you with them?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. So well, you better get her in your thing.
Yeah, man, I need this superpowers.
Yeah. Rogan, you never cease to amaze me. Anyway, so we're here with Ranard. We're talking about our Carmichael, which is, I think, more than anything else, a wonderful template.
Man, I love this.
And the thing that really gets me, and you could bet your bottom dollar, I'm going to be involved in it.
I don't know.
Yeah. Huh?
I don't know.
Yeah. You know it. She knows. She knows how I go. Is that it inspires leadership. We are lacking seriously leadership, and I think we have misdefined leadership. We tend to think of leadership as the ultimate guy, or the pastor or the CEO. But the reality is that every single one of us can be leaders.
Exactly.
Okay? And what it means is that Jason, okay, will decide that he wants a certain set of expectations in life, but they can't happen automatically. There's no autopilot expectation scenario button. This ain't what the thing is. Staples. You just hit the button.
Right.
He has to get off his duff to make that happen, and that's leadership. And so I want to ask you. You've got how many members now? You have
membership now
yeah.
from the page alone with our group.
Uh-huh.
I checked it today. You have 945 households represented,
right,
which is pretty good.
So if you multiply, that's close to 4,000 people. They're invested in their family.
And then you have in the volunteers, the persons who actually come into the meetings to organize initiatives. We are at a count of 130 persons, active volunteers.
Yeah.
So
do you find? I mean, obviously, percentage wise, that's. Let me see. I got to do my maths. I got to do my little maths now. So you got 60,000 people. You have 945 active members. Okay. Let's see, 945, and so that is roughly. It's about. It's less than 10%. It's about 1.6%. Okay. The question I'm asking is, how do you engage? How do you know how those people are impacting? Those 945 people are impacting other people.
I'll give you a typical example. We have someone in the community. I don't want to call her name on air, but she attended an event in December of last year. Heard my presentation as for the vision for this Our Carmichael initiative, and she had said to me, I'm not going to be able to attend a lot of your events because I'm working. But I want you to know you have my full support, and I will share the posts and the initiatives with persons. She works at Doctor's Hospital. What she did in turn was tell persons in her neighborhood, her street, about the initiative and to attend the event, even though she couldn't. And then she went to Doctor's Hospital, and she got Doctor's Hospital to pay for a resident of Carmichael to do a medical assistant course to get certified. And we then had persons from the community, not no hand-picked thing, persons had to make their submissions and the reasons why they should get this thing, etc. They were all sent to them and they would choose from it. And that person graduated last week. And I was on vacation when that person messaged to say, She wants to do a formal thank you to our Carmichael because she was sitting home unemployed, giving up, no hope, no inspiration. And here comes someone from the community who reached out to a company outside the community to fund her education, certification, and now she's certified, and bam, she has a job at Doctors Hospital.
So someone in the community, not that person,
Right.
who worked at Doctors
Hospital,
was inspired to help one other person in that community.
Right. And that's what this is about.
Yeah.
So if I can reach 945 households, yes, you're helping those persons in that household, but you're also trying to tell those persons, as a community, you don't just care about yourself anymore.
Right.
You must look out for somebody else in the community.
Right.
And that's a typical example.
Right.
You know?
And hopefully this young lady or this young man who got that job, they're going to pay it forward.
And that's exactly what she said when she sent the post, that she's going to pay it forward. I met with a lady on Tuesday who reminded me that because I had helped her with something, she then helped somebody else.
Right. By the way, have you seen that movie?
Which one is
Pay It Forward.
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
I remember
Let me
that.
tell you something, man. I get goosebumps. See, people don't even know where that term comes from. Get that movie and show it to you. Because I know y'all have your little movie nights.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah,
You'll have
that's
people
a
in
good
tears.
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay? And it exemplifies. There was a little boy. That's where this term came
Haley
from.
Joel Osment was in that movie.
Yeah?
From The Sixth
And
Sense.
that was the kid's name?
Yeah, that's his real name.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he basically
Kevin Spacey
did
worked there.
this,
Somebody.
where he paid things for, and it just took over the world. And I've always been inspired by that movie because that could only happen. That could only happen. It would just be so marvelous. And our community is such a small community. And before you know it, you'd be inundated. You'd have to be turning down, pay it forwards, But I keep on having to go back to my friend Jason over here, you see? Because I'm going to be, every time I see, by the way, every time I see Jason now, it's going to be in a completely different light. Okay? All right. But because the point I'm making is I don't know how you're feeling it is going. In other words, if there's some sort of rate of acceleration that should be happening, right? But I would be anxious to know if you have a Jason or a Ranard on each road in Carmichael. Have you gotten to that point?
No, we definitely don't have a Jason or an on every road in Carmichael.
Okay.
But we have one in every neighborhood represented now, which is good. I was on vacation. No, the morning before I went on vacation, I was in a meeting until about 12:30 that morning. And a resident in the community messaged me to say, Ranard, sorry the message so late, but there are some new neighbors that moved in next door to me and they're smoking marijuana. Should I report them to the police? I said, hell yes. And she said, just want to make sure that's what we stand for now in Carmichael. I said, hell yes.
Absolutely.
Report them. So I'm in the middle of a meeting. I just share with the persons in a meeting that I have a resident in this community right now saying that someone's smoking marijuana. So
Was it just out of interest? Was it in their house or was it outside?
No, they were outside.
Yeah, see, that's where we draw the line.
They were outside.
You see, yeah.
And
because in theory, you shouldn't even be, drinking outside.
Right.
In theory.
Right. But to have a resident in the community who just has our Carmichael WhatsApp number to say, isn't this what we stand for now? We don't entertain this foolishness anymore. That we can report this. And that's what it's about. So we're trying to wield influence as a community with this tens of thousands of persons over community culture, over our legislators, and over companies in the area. So one of the things we're excited to launch coming very soon
2017,
September is that we're now going to have community scholarship programs where we have companies in the community adopting one child to now provide a scholarship for that child, whether it's from primary school, high school, or college. So we're basically saying, listen, you're in a community with 60,000 of us, and you have XYZ business like Girls Will Be Girls. And Ms. Cook calls yesterday and said, Renard, you need to twist my arm about it. We're here in the Southwest Plaza.
Yeah.
Just let me know which child I'm sponsoring a scholarship for.
Right.
And just let me know where and what GP they must meet.
Now, another thing that we don't talk about, but we are going to talk about it today, and Carmichael is probably more so dealing with this more than any other community, is our Haitian brothers and sisters. You have a large Haitian community in the Carmichael area. What have you seen in terms of, and largely, in my view, and I could be wrong about this, they have been kind of undercover, kind of below, what do they call it in the States? Below the radar. And, they said in the Bahamas too, not just in the States. But have you seen that coming more to surface?
We have persons in this initiative who are volunteers who are Malaysian, Trinidadian, Bayesian, Haitian, Jamaican, Cuban. We have team chairs who are Haitian descent, Jamaican descent.
And they would have been elected by other members who are Bahamian or...
Right. So one of the good things about the initiative, again, too, is that we bridge divides. We're about unification. And in that community, whether you're old, young, rich, poor, you have a college master's degree, or you didn't finish high school, whether you're a black, white, Asian, Haitian, Jamaican, whatever, it's irrelevant to us. We don't care whether you're PLP or FNM. We live in this community, and we have some commonalities. There are things we share in common, and we're focusing on that. We don't have time for the difference. It's the point of, well, oh, you know, this person coming here with an Ivy League degree, we don't want to hear from him, or because you have an Ivy League degree, you need to chair a team or lead a team. We don't have that issue. So we've been bridging divides and opening the minds of persons in the community, because Carmichael is a melting pot.
But you know, the other thing is, and again, see, you know, we talked about this. We had the guy, you may have known, Andre Chappelle, on, and you know, like I say, gonna go to my favorite reference from now on, Jason, of knowing people. Okay, we see people, we pass people, we give salutations to people, but we don't know people.
Oh, really?
And when you come to know someone, whether you have an Ivy League degree or you don't, you realize that there's a lot of intelligence, and I use that word, you know, very generically, right? From everyone.
Yes.
Okay? A lot of smarts
Oh, yeah.
coming from everyone. But you kind of, you know, you judge people, right? I want to ask you now, though, what is the next step? I mean, you've gotten to this point. I mean, I assume a lot of people know about your organization. I did not know up until recently. I don't know if you knew about it, Rogan.
Yeah, I did.
But I still think it's not as known. I think it's still, you know, a lot of people know about it, but I don't think a lot of people know about it, right?
Yeah, they don't grasp the concept of what they're trying to do.
And the potential,
Yeah.
and the potential. So what's the next step? You know, what's the next move?
We had a team chair meeting yesterday with all the different chairs from about 6 o'clock yesterday, and we wrapped up almost 11. And one of the things we discussed last night is that PR, that we need more persons. A lot of people still don't know about it. The mere fact that you have our Grand Bahama launch and our Sea Breeze, you have our Northy Luthra in the pipelines. The mere fact that you have that clearly tells you that a lot of people know about it, a lot of people have bought into this concept and sees like this is how you bring real change and help to the people. But at the same time, we need to make sure and reach every household in these communities, because there's somebody in every house. There's a senior citizen, there's somebody who's unemployed, there's somebody who wants to start a business, there's someone with a talent, there's someone who can run, there's someone who can play music. We need to bring that help to them, which is what this initiative is about, because there is help in this country, but a lot of people in our community don't know where to find that help outside the community. So we're trying to not reinvent the wheel, but bring that help to Carmichael. That if we have someone with talent, the help is right here through this community center.
The last time we had Ace Newball on the show recently. Oh, by the way, this is yours, Mystique. Last time he was on the show, what time is it?
A couple minutes.
And I ended up with a receipt because we ended up joining the
press club.
So I'm going to say this to you.
Today.
So again, you went, I wasn't able to make it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You went?
Mhm.
Well, I'm so very proud of you.
Tashina went too.
Because you're about to get volunteer for something else.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
I told him I'm getting
Okay. So here's the deal. Now, I don't live in Carmichael, obviously, but I would like to volunteer
Thank you.
for the marketing, and I would like to volunteer Rogan. She's a marketing whiz kid.
Thank you.
I was going to tell him after the show.
No,
Thank you.
we volunteered on the radio, man, and because that way you can't back off.
Yeah, you can't back off.
But I would also, I want to say this to you because I think this has extremely monumental national implications. I really believe that, and I'd like to volunteer at the level of where you can market this nationally. I would like to participate in the Carmichael thing, but I'd like to volunteer, Rogan and I, to be involved how we can get other communities into this, because where you reach critical mass is when it's around everywhere.
Yeah.
Because then it just starts to, metastasize and just expand. So let us know when the next meeting is,
Great.
and because when I said to you, and this is where these are little quizzes. These are quizzes that's happening on here. Okay, yeah. When I said to you, what is the next step? Because in my mind, that was what it was. So you passed the test.
Thank you.
Okay. So I just want to say, it has been a pleasure. It was, some things happen in life, man. She begrudges me because she thinks I'm saying, like, did you say bringing death on myself? But
Yes.
the thing is,
You always speak death on
but
yourself.
at my age, at the age I am at now, often the things that you want to see happen may not happen when you're here, or may not happen because of you, but it may happen because of someone else. And our job, if we accept the inspiration, is to be a part of that, not to shun it or to feel like, oh, well, it ain't me, so I can't. It's to recognize it and to be a part of it. And I recognize in you, my friend, something that is very special. So I want to thank you for allowing us to interview you. And I want to thank you for allowing us to be a part of this organization, because we will be a part of this organization.
Thank you.
You have some other
I just want to
information you
share with everybody listening, we have the Our Grand Bahama initiative. So if you're in Grand Bahama or from Grand Bahama, go onto Facebook and you can just search Our Grand Bahama. It'll take you to the page. You can also call Miss Newton at 352-8134. And Our Grand Bahama will launch on September 3rd with the registration to help persons with the jobs and starting businesses. So please reach out to the Our Grand Bahama page as well.
Absolutely.
Felix Stubbs, who is in everything. He's the most